Hello, and welcome to Pandering Hour.
Deal with it.
Oh!
Never do this. Never, ever. Not a good idea. Don't do this. Way better.
What top 10 killer cucks?
If you like putting stuff in your butt, that is your right. And don't worry about straight or gay. It's not about that. It's about your own satisfaction. For you. For us, it's you're gay. Hello. I have a guest, guys. I brought someone. Today on Pandering Hour we have a Honduran person.
Hi everyone, I'm Kirsten.
Yes.
I'm Kirsten. Yeah, cool.
Kirsten from Honduras. She moved to the U.S. 2 years ago. We do not have her face because I'm working on that. The production quality will get better as this podcast progresses. But for now, we're just gonna go through some Honduras stuff. So where do you think I should start? Like if I want to tell people about Honduras, like what is something that people should know right off the bat?
Food, definitely. That's how we get everyone to come visit. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, food is a very big thing. Do you have any idea of Honduran food?
No.
Okay, so baleadas, that's like our main thing.
How do you spell that?
Just like a flour, Baleadas. That's our main dish. We do that for any time of day. It's like a flour tortilla and beans, cream, and cheese. That's like the basic one, but you can put everything on it.
This looks like a Middle Eastern food. I mean, it's a tortilla, did you know that there's like a big Middle Eastern influence on Mexican and South American food?
I did not.
Yeah, the al pastor is just like shawarma.
That's true. And then, the flour tortilla could be just like naan bread.
Exactly.
Okay, I see it.
It's a very linked food culture. But you were saying
flavors too. The strength of the flavors. Wow, everything makes sense. And then we have payachuco, which is translated into dirty chicken, which is fried chicken, like heavily fried chicken, battered chicken, and plantains, fried plantains. I don't know if you've ever heard or tried them.
Oh yeah, I've had plantains. Plantains are big in Mexican food as well.
Chips.
Oh, like that.
Chips, not the sweet one.
Okay.
And with a bunch of sauce on it, and then I think it's called, Mexicans also have it, which is what they do with tomato, onion. What is it? What do they call it? What do you call it? It's tomato, onion, lemon, chile.
I put that on everything. I don't know. Salsa?
But it has the name salsa. Salsa, but it has a different chimon. Chimon.
Oh yeah, chimon. No, that's a Taiwanese actor. No.
No.
How do you spell it?
And you put that on top of the Chimol.
Oh, it's like a radish salsa. Yeah, it's salsa.
Sure, but it's not. Okay. Also, for us, in Spanish, it's something different. Salsa for us is sauce.
Oh, it's just sauce? Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
So it's complicated, at least for Honduran.
It looks a little bit like chimichurri.
Also, do not agree. But
that's so funny.
You put that on top of the chicken and the plantain, and then a bunch of sauce. Amazing.
It's funny how Google will. It's calling it Salvadorian salsa or Honduran salsa, and it makes it seem like it's like Google is only as good as like an American brain is, because it has to convert it into something that an American would understand. It won't just be like it's a topping from Honduras or whatever. So that's what I'm getting.
It'll relate it to something that Americans can relate to. Like it'll. Yeah, you're right. I've never thought of it like that.
You have coconut bread?
Yeah, it's amazing. They sell it by the beach. Like you're lying down on the beach, and then whoever comes up to you and asks you, "Do you want coconut bread?" And then they also offer this coconut sweets. They're like sugar and coconut in a whole candy, and it's amazing.
Oh, it's like what's that called? Like pan dulce?
Yeah, and then they put butter on it, a bunch of butter on it. And
That sounds great.
amazing.
Here's the thing. So I am American and I am Mexican. So whenever there's like something even like a little like South American or Mexican, like I'm just like, how would an American differentiate Hondurans from Mexicans? Because we're all the same to them. Like white people will just be like, "Oh, you speak Spanish? You're Mexican, right?" And it's like, "No, I'm from Spain. I'm from, Chile. I'm from somewhere else."
Well, I would say first off, accent.
Right.
We really don't have an accent, like a heavy accent for us Hondurans. And then once you get a bunch of Hondurans in a like a group, you're able to see how there's certain areas in their face, and you see the traits. And just like any other country, right? Like there's similar traits. So for example, for us, if we kind of have big noses, that's like a thing. And then there's a wide variation of skin color too. So I know a lot of light-skinned people, but a lot of dark-skinned people too. Like there's not. What else could be a differentiate? Like what?
That's rude. What Google's showing me. Look, I'm putting.
I thought me.
No, look at the chat. This guy. This is a Honduran guy.
Most of our population, in numbers, is poor. So a lot of the working class, they work in the land, right? Like that's the reality of the country, and that is what these two guys right here look like. Like that's that's how people usually look when they are land workers or when they, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like that.
Right. They're laborers, contractors. There's a lot of words for it. The higher up you go in the socioeconomic ladder, you become, something else. My grandfather was a carpenter, and I've seen pictures of him. And he looks just like those guys, honestly. The more I do this podcast, and there's a part where I'll like look at the men and women, and like, the more I just think like, we all look very similar. Like there's no one that looks way different than me other than like an African dude. But even then, like it's not even that far on like the range of like human possibility. And when I watch these vlogs of people walking, I'm gonna look around Honduras. So Honduras vlog.
I was gonna say that was point number 2 for me. The second thing that I would say is like a motivator to bring people to Honduras is our landscape, our beaches, the mountains, bro. Like nature in Honduras is beautiful. It really is, and it's what drives so much people to it because you get the heat is unbearable. It's worse than Florida, but the heat is and the humidity. That's the thing with Honduras in general, because there's so many trees and it's warm all year long. We don't get seasons, but like we don't have winter, and our winters are probably like, I don't know Fahrenheit, but like Celsius 25, 26, depending on where you're at, of course, right? But like in cities, like I am from San Pedro Sula, which is one of the main cities. It's actually like the industrial capital of Honduras, and it's warm all year long. I lost my train of thought. Where were we going with this?
Did you say 20 degrees Celsius?
Yeah, like around 25. That's like, I would say that's the coldest I've experienced.
Oh, okay. They said that's how hot it gets. I'm like, that's 77 degrees. That's pretty nice. That's nice.
That's perfect weather. Don't get me wrong.
So when I look,
that's the coldest.
when I looked up Honduras vlog, the first thing that comes up is arriving in Honduras not safe. Like it's. Let me see.
Why is Honduras so dangerous?
One of the poorest and most violent countries in Latin America.
Police fired tear gas at protesters, but it didn't stop them from marching in their thousands towards Congress.
The gangs told me to either leave.
Time out. What is this from? This is 3 years ago. So this is about a year before you left.
Yeah.
Because of the level of crime that we have in this country, because of the lack of work, the lack of education, because of extreme poverty.
But the acting Customs and Border Protection Chief...
Is this what I think? Wasn't there like a huge scandal at the border, where like, oh, we don't want to let. There was like, yeah. Hold on, time out. Let me look that
I
up.
think people from Venezuela was trying to go through,
Yeah.
or people from South America in general were trying to go through, and I think they wouldn't let them. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And that had already been happening when the. So this is interesting because we have different, origins, but like, being half Mexican when Donald Trump was getting elected and the whole like build the wall stuff. I'm not political. Like I was probably like in my late teens, like 18, 19 or whatever when that happened. And my impression of the whole situation was just kind of like, I don't care. Like it doesn't matter to me, except for the stuff about the border, because like that's where my uncle travels back and forth from San Diego to Tijuana for work, and my grandma's from Guadalajara, so she's from Mexico, and now she's scared for her citizenship. And it's just it makes me kind of confused as like someone who's like, I don't have any real connection to that place, so I can't speak as to why people would be leaving it to come here. Especially, I mean, I was in California. I grew up in Los Angeles, which is like, used to be a part of Mexico. It's just not, it's not something that I really understood or cared about, but I had a lot of Salvadorian people that were working with me. They were the cashiers, and I was bagging groceries. And my coworkers would be like, hold on, I'll be right back. I'm going to go get some cash so I can fill up the register. And the person waiting to get their groceries would look over at me like, build that wall, huh? I got to get rid of these Mexicans. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, and then I just smash their bread at the bottom of their bag, and I... It's like, I'm gonna bag your stuff like shit now, thanks. But even then, like, I still don't have that much of an attachment to like that identity or that idea. But I do have some attachment to like the human condition. Like how hard it could be or is to grow up in a place where you feel like there's no hope. But in my opinion, that's been a majority of my experience for America, like that there is very little to no hope.
Even if you have money, there's things that you cannot ever afford, or there's things that you don't have access to because you're in this country, in Honduras. There's also different kind of problems. Like, for example, there's always people in the street begging for money. And
in Honduras or in
yeah, in Honduras and in many countries and in Latin America. Like this isn't exclusive, right? Like also.
Would you describe them as like homeless or
homeless? But also at some point it started becoming an issue because they use kids to ask for money in the streets, and then even those kids, they use them as bait to steal. Of the people that was giving money to those kids. So you can't trust. That's the feeling of not being safe. First off, that's like the first thing I can tell you is something that would pressure me to leave. And then not being able to trust anyone, not being able to walk. You cannot walk on the street. Not because you can't, because it's possible, and I know a lot of people do it because they have to, but it's not safe. And it's like you're risking your life, basically. People that don't live in Honduras think that it's beautiful, and I think it's beautiful, and I think that we should all give it a chance. Because what you hear outside, what the news tell you, part of it is true, but a big part of it is also BS. Like, look at that. Look at those mountains. Like, are you kidding me?
I agree. I'm sure this place is gorgeous, but I mean the news is always going to sensationalize. So my perspective to see something like that was Skid Row. Have you ever seen Skid Row? It's like a couple of blocks of just this, and they've completely taken over. Like, it's just rough. A couple of my friends. Oh, this is in 2023 even. A couple of my friends have gone there to just like hand out food and clothes. My best friend went there multiple times to do that. But when I last visited LA, I had a show in Hollywood, and he walked his sister to her car with his friend, who is a woman, and on their way back, they bumped into some mentally unstable guy, and he got into a fist fight. It was actually really funny because me and him box, so we fucked this guy up. He didn't like hurt him badly, but I didn't believe him. Like I just did my show. I'm like, we're gonna go get food. There's no In-N-Out up here, so I wanted to get In-N-Out. We sit down, we have our food, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, I got into a street fight, and I'm like, no, you didn't, because your shirt. No, it doesn't look like anyone grabbed your shirt. It doesn't look like anyone ruffled your hair or hit you in the face. I grabbed his hands. There's no marks on his knuckles. I'm like, you didn't get into a fight. His friend who was with him showed me the video, and he was like slipping punches. And he's a very, like I said, very empathetic guy. He was handing out food on Skid Row. Like he just cares for people. And as he's like slipping punches and hitting the guy in the face, he also kicked him in the balls. He's like, you don't have to do this. You could be better. You don't have to be defined by your neighborhood. Bah, bah, bah. Like, eventually he talked the guy down, and they hugged it out, which is so funny to like get punched in the face and then hug the guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I admire your friend. Honestly.
He's a really great guy.
It's not fair for our country to be judged like that.
Portland, they'll say that it's like a hellscape, but I remember there was a picture that was sent to me by my own family when I moved up here about this protest that was happening that I drove through. I drove through this protest where there were two groups on each side of the street, and it was maybe a total of like 10, 15 people. It was zoomed in as if the sidewalk was full. And so I'm like, wait, why would you take a picture like this to rile people up? It's just like two groups of really loud, annoying people screaming at each other. Like it's not what it's been made out to be. This is Honduran women. This is sorry. This is another thing that I pulled up. Oh, there's bolita. Tell me about this.
Yeah.
Is that chorizo and then plantains?
That's chorizo, plantains, avocado, beans, and then egg.
Mm-hmm.
And then we eat a lot of corn tortillas, which is yeah.
How many old people are in Honduras?
I don't know.
Old
people in Honduras.
4%. I'm moving to Honduras. I'm moving. Okay, now let's look at Oregon.
Like 11.
What does that mean? Oregon's slightly older than the rest of the United States, with a median age of 40 years. So what's the median age in Honduras? It's 23 years.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so old here, and it bothers me because these people don't know how to use the internet. Would you mind if I looked at your hometown?
Zoom in. That's my hometown. That's little, yeah.
San Pedro Sula?
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that really trips me out is whenever I'm looking at these other countries and I hear American music playing.
Okay, so this goes back to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
You said that you didn't understand how or why people want to like leave, right? It's also the situations, but it's also society in a way, because we're so Americanized to the point where, oh, the American dream, and they sell you this idea that if you leave your country, your life is gonna be perfect, and we both know that's not the reality.
No.
Like, it's we have. I mean, I can only speak for myself, right, and my experiences. But living in Honduras has its up and downs, just like living in any other country. Like, it's but people paint it as if it's this horrible experience, like, and it is for some. Don't get me wrong, it is for some. It is for, I don't want to say most, but it is for a bunch of people.
Average income of a single income household? That's not true. That cannot be true.
You think that it's too much?
Yeah, last time I looked it up, it was $30,000. What is the average? 37,000. Divide that by 12. Divide that by 4. Divide that by 40. That's $19 an hour. That's not enough to live on anymore. Like, especially when the average, we both work in property management, the average apartment is going to be like $1,500, unless if you're like in, the Corn Belt or some place in the middle of nowhere.
What I've seen, the cheapest like 1,800.
Really?
And that could be like a what do you call it? A loft, whatever you call it.
I want to know how much a house costs in Honduras. Okay, now this looks like a nice house. This one looks nice.
Yeah.
It's got the smallest kitchen island in existence. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Kirsten. I appreciate you so much for coming on. I'll see you guys in the next video. Next episode, Trinidad and Tobago.